want some food. Do it. Do the food. Let's open this up. Eh? Oh, it's not right. I don't know if this one goes here or... Yeah, that's not right either. Switch these two. Oh wait, no. Slow down. Ta-da! Ooh, you have a high school reunion? I never know about those, because my high school never tells me. Or at least they don't really make it known. Like, they don't really send out messages and stuff, I guess. We didn't have parents. They bought it in an accident when we were still kids. I don't know what he's talking about. So I had to be like her dad. And that meant that I bought her Christmas presents every year. On Christmas Eve, I'd leave the present next to her pillow. And the next morning, she'd come running into my room with this big smile. Talking about his little sister. Look! Santa left me a present! Santa got me that doll I really wanted! I'm so glad that he got the letter I wrote! I was the one who told her to write those letters. I'd say, write down something you want and mail it to Santa. The address I gave her was somewhere in Northern Europe that doesn't exist. Anyway, she'd write the letter and stamp it and send it out. And then a few days later, it'd show up back in our mailbox marked, address unknown. I'd open the letters before she figured out they'd been sent back. Once I had the letter, I'd go around to a couple stores with some money I'd saved up over the year and buy her the stuff she'd asked for. It took a lot of saving, but I managed to buy her presents every year. Junpei was silent. He could think of nothing to say. June looked down, uncomfortable. The wall next to him suddenly groaned. Either he hadn't heard the sound or didn't care. Santa kept talking. But one year, her letter was different. She didn't write a list of toys she wanted or anything like that. Instead, it said, I don't want any presents this year. Instead, I want you to make my wish come true. My wish is that we'll be happy like this for a really, really long time. But I couldn't make that wish come true. Some Santa I am. Santa looked sad. Junpei had never seen him look sad before. He wasn't sure he liked it. Junpei decided it was probably best not to ask Santa any more questions. But what happened? June glanced up at Santa quickly as she spoke. He answered, but only with an effort. With an effort. What? She died. She was killed. 9 years ago. There was nothing Junpei could say. His heart felt like a great lump of lead. June bit her lip and looked away. Her face was pale. Alright, let's go. Oh, it was June that spoke. I'm sorry. June and Junpei are the same person, aren't they? They love each other so much they became one. Santa, I'm sorry about that. Santa stood up suddenly, his downcast demeanor gone. He shoved the picture back in his pocket and headed back up the stairs, taking them two at a time. We're back to skipping now. So I apologize for mixing up their lines there. Oh no, this room. They did the fusion dance, exactly. Okay. Get the foods, do it. Oh, we gotta collect all these cards now. Oh, nope. I think I hear a snowy outside.
I gotta remember to check, like, every little thing, because they're gonna be hidden. 3, 4, 5. See, even their cards were together. 6, 7, 8. There's one more missing. Where was it again? 9! No, we have them all. Snowy! I think Snowy's outside. You could say that Junpei. Junpei forever. That's pretty good. Just then. Oh. Junpei heard a noise. He spun around just in time to see June collapse in front of the fence. June, are you okay? She did not respond. Junpei spun back around to face Ace. I'm sorry, I gotta go check on her. You do the box thing, alright? You do the box thing. Just put the cards in the boxes. I'm counting on you. He shoved the cards into Ace's hands and ran off toward June. Are you alright? What happened? Junpei called out to her as he ran. As he arrived, June was climbing to her feet with Santa's help. I'm sorry. I'm fine. I just tripped. Don't give me that. Now's not the time. But it's true. I tripped over a box. Junpei put his palm on her forehead. Her temperature was much the same as it had been the last time he checked. She wasn't hot like she'd been before, but she was still warm. Her fever wasn't completely gone. I saw her fall. I think she really did just trip on something, you know? Junpei would have been more willing to agree if June hadn't needed quite so much help standing up. Still, to fall down like that. I think she's probably still a little messed up. June was doing her best to busy herself brushing dust off her dress. Her smile looked a little embarrassed, and her face was a bit flushed. But she did look a great deal better than she had. Still. Alright, well, let's get out of here as fast as we can so we can get you to a hospital.
Oh, I don't think it's anything that serious. I just need a little medicine and some sleep, and I'll be fine.
Medicine? Medicine, huh? Well, if we could get in touch with anyone outside, I'll bet Ace could swing that for you easy. Ace? Why? Huh? Don't you know? He's the president of a pharmaceutical company. Cradle Pharmaceutical's the name, I think. Their flagship product is an anesthetic drug called Soparil. Soparil? Or Soparil, I'm not sure. Maybe it's Soparil. Soparil? Junpei couldn't shake the feeling that he'd heard about Soparil before. Santa continued. Soparil. Soparil's an anesthetic that is gaseous at room temperature, similar to nitrous oxide. It takes only a few seconds to spread, and even a small amount is very effective. For these reasons, it found widespread acceptance, I said that twice, with police and military forces in numerous countries. It was an effective crowd suppressant and room clearer, and is practical, ethical, and humane. Developed 6 years prior, it was made from the extracts of several different roots. It became popular almost as soon as it was made public, with many governments placing large orders. Demand for Soparil skyrocketed, and as it did, so did the stock of Cradle Pharmaceuticals. He's like a walking Cradle Pharmaceutical pamphlet. Why do you know all this? Santa's information was interesting, but Junpei couldn't help but feel a little suspicious. Santa's reply was blunt and simple. I heard it from the old man himself. From Ace? When? By the number 4 door at the central stairway, when we were searching the second classroom. Remember how Snake, 7, and you went to door 5? Sorry, second classroom. I said it like classroom, like one word. I asked him what he did for a living, and he said he ran his own company. After that, we just started talking, and I guess it just came up, you know?
Hey, Biss. Are you worried about something?
No, nothing. As he spoke, Junpei looked over toward Ace. He seemed to be having difficulty with the 9 boxes. What the hell is he doing? He turned back to June and Santa. June, don't push yourself, alright?
Yes.
Santa, could you take care of her? Sure. He gave them both a short nod, then turned and headed toward Ace. What are you doing? Ace's back was to him as Junpei approached. The older man turned around to look at him. His face was pale and covered in sweat. What happened? Nothing. My vision has gotten rather blurry. I think perhaps because of fatigue. I can't see very well at the moment. What can't you see well? These pictures. Ace held the cards out to Junpei, splayed out in the shape of a fan. I don't care to admit it, but I may be developing presbyopia. I don't know what that word is. Growing old is a difficult thing. He made the best attempt he could at a self-deprecating smile, but his face was flushed and his lips were pale and drawn.
Wah! Did you? Lots of games, lots of games.
At any rate, I'll leave the rest to you. I'm feeling awfully tired, so if you don't mind, I'd like to rest for a bit.
He shoved the cards into Junpei's hands and walked quickly away.
Junpei looked at him quizzically. How could simply looking at cards have tired him out? Junpei looked down at the cards in his hands. I wonder if we can skip this part yet. Nope. All the pictures were quite clear, and each person easily recognizable. Was Ace's vision truly so bad? But if it wasn't, what had made him so uncomfortable? That was when Junpei remembered what he'd heard from Lotus much earlier. Prosopagnosia. Well, put simply, it means a condition where the mind can't distinguish between human faces.
Oh, thank you, Clock. Oh, welcome back, Val.
In other words, my face would look the same as Clover's, or even yours. So they can't remember faces, which is how most people recognize each other. That means that people with prosopagnosia have trouble recognizing even people they're close to. Maybe he's got prosopagnosia? I don't even know if I'm saying that right, so I apologize. Junpei took another look at Ace. He sat at the base of the stairs, looking quite depressed. It was reasonable, of course, that he'd feel that way. If he really did have prosopagnosia, there was no doubt it was a depressing and painful experience. Still, Junpei didn't feel like patting him on the shoulder and telling him everything would be all right. Blah, blah, blah. Junpei didn't feel like patting him on the shoulder and telling him everything would be all right would help that much.
Ooh, tea, I want tea.
Still, Junpei felt perhaps it was best he kept Ace's condition to himself, at least for the time being. Oh well. Doing his best to clear his mind for the task at hand, he turned back toward the boxes.
Oh, thank you.
I'm glad then. Some of those medical terms are really tricky to say. It was time to solve the puzzle of the 9 boxes. Okay, I can skip these again.
Ta-da! Now we need to take these upstairs. Up, 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 up. Up, up. And here. And here. And here.
Let's do this. I hope I'm doing this right. I can't. Oh, there we go. Yep. And the last ones. You want to play Fatal Frame? That is pretty random. So, like, huge sale stuff.
Yeah. Have you ever played Spirit Camera?
That's pretty much, it is a Fatal Frame title, it's just not considered a mainstream series thing. But yeah, it was on the 3DS. It's a really short game, though. But getting games on sale is always amazing. Okay, let's try giving this a try. Oh, I'm so smart. Okay. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We want 1 there. We're gonna go up. Push 2 down. I don't know if I'm doing this right, but I'm trying. Ta-da! Climb up on the boxes, silly. Oh, we found a revolver.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that puzzle before, right? Because to get to this point,
I've done the puzzle before. See if we can get our new ending soon. Is it this door, or is it the one up the stairs? Oh, it's this one. Let's go! Already? Luckily, no Takaya with it. Very true. I'm gonna save really quick. Oh, new stuff? Junpei and June ran to the large hospital room together. As quickly as they could, they searched around and under the beds and in the corners. She's not here.
No, she isn't.
Alright, just in case, we should go take a look in the shower room.
The shower room?
That's where her brother is. She might have gone to see him. June bit her lip. She knew, as Junpei did, that there was only one thing to see in the shower room, and it wasn't pleasant. Well, we might as well check, right? Let's go. There was a screwdriver stuck between the door and the frame. Junpei and June slipped through the door, moved down the hallway, and stepped into the shower room. No luck.
Yeah, I don't think she's here.
June's voice was faint, and she placed her hands over her mouth. Her face looked a little green. The stench in the room was almost unbearable. It had grown far more unpleasant since their last visit. If Junpei had eaten a lunch, he would have had difficulty retaining it. He wanted to leave the room as soon as possible, but he had to be sure. And the only way to be sure was to check the other side of the divider. Wait here. June offered no resistance and nodded weakly to Junpei as he headed around the divider. He stopped at the corner and turned his head. As he'd expected, Clover was nowhere to be seen. The only thing on the other side of the divider was a dead body, lying in a reddish-brown puddle of dry and drying blood. Dry and drying? There are many ways, I guess it makes sense, but at the same time it's worded weird. There are many ways a man can die, but this... The skull was shattered, and the head little more than a pulpy mass of brain, bone, and viscera. The left arm was hideously twisted into a horrific alien shape, the bright white of the ulna, is that how you say it? Shining through the remains of skin and muscle. Huh? Wait. Bright white. Ulna. I think that's the word, I don't know. Bones. Why couldn't you just say bones? The pieces fell into place. Junpei remembered something Clover had told him in the laboratory.
My brother's left arm is... it's not like a normal person's arm. The accident hurt him really bad. To save him, they had to cut off his arm.
Of course. Of course! Why hadn't he realized it earlier? Clover had told Junpei that Snake's left arm was prosthetic. But the left arm of the corpse behind the divider was quite clearly a real human arm, or at least it had been once. That meant the corpse. Junpei and June headed back toward the large hospital room. They stepped through the door and out the shower room. Down the hallway they went, searching for Clover in every corner. They had reached the stairs when... Seven appeared, breathless and yelling. Junpei! June! Where were you guys? He looked pale and his face was drawn. Something terrible had happened. Junpei's breath caught in his throat. Did something happen? Seven drew a shaking hand across his face and gulped down a breath of air. Clover is dead. I found her in the first-class bathroom. All sound ceased for Junpei. The world was an empty, muffled expanse. Then he began to hear his own breathing. June's mouth moved, but he heard nothing. She tried once more, and then her energy was gone, and she collapsed against the wall. He could have helped her, but he hadn't, and now she was dead. So he stood there, frozen in place. Clover. Clover. Why? Why had this happened? He forced his body to move. Each step felt like another nail pounded into his heart. Finally, he was in front of her. He knelt and placed 3 fingers against Clover's neck. No pulse. No breath. But she was still warm and her eyes were closed peacefully. It would have been easy to think she was asleep. Easy, that is, were it not for the slowly expandable puddle of blood beneath her. He traced its source to her back, a gash just beneath her shoulder blade. Was the weapon a knife, perhaps? If it was a knife, the killer had taken it when they left. When he closed his eyes, he saw Clover's smile. Her innocent smile. Her energy. He would never see her smile again. He could have done something. He could have helped her. His stomach twisted itself into a sickening knot. Junpei lifted a limp June from the floor and carried her from the bathroom. Are you all right? It was a foolish question, and he knew it.
Yes, I think so.
Her voice was weak. The fever had gone down, but the emotional scars she'd received were not likely to recede as quickly. Junpei laid his hand on her shoulder, and they walked back to the bedroom. You should get some rest. He lowered June until she was sitting against the bed. She nodded once and stared at the floor. There were 4 others in the room. Ace, Lotus, Santa, and Seven. They all stared at nothing, their faces drawn and tired. After a while, they drifted into the bathroom to see Clover's corpse themselves. Once everyone was back in the bedroom, Junpei walked slowly to the center of it and looked around as the slumped figures gathered there. Who was the first to find the body? Me. Seven spoke from behind Junpei. He turned around. Seven's hand was up. Why'd you come to this room? To look for Clover. Why else? I found her body in the bathroom. As soon as I did, I ran outside. I got to the top of the stairs, by the casino, and yelled as loud as I could. Hey guys, I found her, but it's bad! She's in the bathroom in the first-class cabin! Come quick! Or something like that. Then I went back to the bathroom. Ace, Santa, and Lotus showed up real soon after that. But I guess you two hadn't heard me or something, 'cause you didn't show. So I took off down the stairs to look for you. After that, I mean, you know the rest, right? Junpei nodded and closed his eyes. There was one more thing he needed to ask. Seven, there's one more thing I'm worried about. What's that? When we finished all the puzzles in this room and got the door open, you stuck one of those plates in between the door and the frame, right? Why'd you do that? Come on, didn't I already tell you that? I did it so that the door wouldn't lock, so we could come back to this room. Oh, you think I did it? Well, I don't know. That kind of depends on what you say, doesn't it? Seven sighed and shook his head. Follow me. There were two doors standing next to one another. He opened the one on the right. Behind the door was a closet. Seven stepped inside. He stood in front of one of the shelves that filled it and gestured toward a small box. The box was a small metal cube. It's called a safe. It's called a safe, Junpei. He looked at Junpei. This is the reason. This safe. We couldn't open it when we were getting through this room. I figured there might be something pretty important in it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Besides, I figured eventually we might figure out what the numbers are for the safe. And if we did, I didn't want to screw around with door 5 again. So I put that plate in the exit door so we could get back in that way. You get it now? Junpei nodded and looked at the safe. He grabbed the handle and shook it. Nothing happened. It was as locked as it had been when Seven found it. There was one change, however. Just underneath the safe was a pile of fine reddish-brown powder. Rust. Junpei stared at it for a moment. Had someone opened the safe, dislodging the rust? Junpei left the closet. Seven followed him back to the bedroom. It was cold and quiet. No one spoke. They sat, frozen in place by shock and grief and fatigue. The room felt tiny and oppressive, and the thick metallic smell of blood filled the room. Junpei turned and headed for the living room. Anything to get out of there. Was there some other clue, perhaps? Anything that might lead him to whoever had stabbed Clover? He took his time and examined the room carefully. His eyes caught on the door. The door that led to the passageway of door number 5. Behind that door was the dead body of the 9th man. Maybe I should have another look at it, just in case. Quietly, he pushed open the door. The smell hit him like a blow to the face. His lungs contracted, unwilling to inhale such air. Acid boiled up from the base of his stomach, churning what little food was there into a violent froth. It was too much for him, and he vomited. A thin stream of... Don't describe it. How could you do this to me? A thin stream of yellow water and bile splattered onto the floor. Thanks, game. Thanks. Thank you. He wiped his mouth weakly and stared at the dead body. Chunks of torn flesh lay in an arc around the body. What remained of its intestines had slid out onto the floor. Fetid? Thanks for being my word professor. The pool of blood that framed it was half dry, but so thick that it had taken on a texture not unlike that of an egg yolk prepared sunny side up. What is with the dead descriptions with food? And I don't get it. I don't get it. The gory details mixed with food. It looked like scrambled eggs. On the floor next to the broken mass of the man's head lay his glasses, cracks spidering across the lens. The bloodstains near them had already dried like scabs on the floor. That was when he noticed. It's gone. His bracelet. It's gone. Seriously! Always about food. It had been there when Junpei had gone through door 5 before. He was sure of it. Right next to the glasses. But now, it was gone. The number 9 bracelet was gone. But why? Had someone taken it? He was turning it over and over in his mind when he heard Seven's voice. Huh? Where'd Junpei go? It had drifted out to him from the living room. Junpei walked slowly out of the hallway. Oh, there you are. Were you looking for something in the hallway? Seven looked up as Junpei entered the room. Did you find something? He thought for a moment before he responded. No. Nothing. Technically, it wasn't a lie. He hadn't found anything. In a way, in fact, that was the problem. Something he'd expected to find hadn't been there. The 9th man's bracelet. What's up? Well, I wanted you to take a look at something. What is it? Seven led Junpei back to the bathroom. As Clover's corpse came into view, he felt his heart flip and then fall to the bottom of his stomach. Something between a sigh and a groan escaped his lips. What was it you wanted to show me? His voice was hollow and empty. I searched Clover's body again. I found this. As he spoke, he moved around Clover's head, then knelt down and flipped open her right hand. What? She was holding a piece of paper. I haven't actually looked at it yet. Didn't want to disturb the crime scene, you know? Basic stuff. Well, I did borrow one thing. Huh? He wasn't sure what that meant, but it likely didn't matter. The paper was more important. He picked it up and carefully opened it. There were 2 sentences written on it. Truth had gone, and truth had gone. Ah, now truth is asleep in the darkness of the sinister hand. What is this? Some kind of secret code? Seven peered over Junpei's shoulder at the note. Junpei stepped away from Clover's body and into the living room. He began to pace, attempting to decode the note. The first clue was likely the phrase sinister hand. Sinister hand means... Does anyone know? I'm gonna save. Anyone know what sinister hand means? Bracelet hand. So what side of their hand was the bracelet on? Was it the right hand? Was it the right hand? I don't know why I feel like if I was in this game it would be on my right hand. Does anyone else think it was right? You think it was left? Why do I feel like bracelets need to go on your... It's probably because I'm right-handed, but, you know. Clock says left. From June's character model. Left. I'm just right-handed, so I assume it's right. Sinister was a term used in heraldry that meant to the left of the bearer of a coat of arms. The left hand. The left hand. What did the left hand mean? Left hand. You're okay. Junpei looked at his own left arm. Ah, that's true. I didn't even think of the picture where they hold it out. Looks like you guys are right. Junpei looked at his own left arm, at the bracelet on his wrist. Did the darkness of the sinister hand have something to do with the bracelet? He examined the bracelet closely. Oh, Neo. You guys took it there. Oh my gosh. There were 2 protrusions on either side of the face. The left and right sides of the face. Left and right. Left and right. Right and left. Truth is gone. Truth. Gone. It sounded funny. What did it mean? Truth. Gone. Maybe those 2 words... What do you guys think? How about reading it out loud? How about switching them? What else could they mean? How about reading them backwards? Backwards equals Enog and Hutchert. job, Junpei. Good job. What do you guys think?
Out loud?
Wait, Val says reading them backwards? Clock says out loud? Ah. Ah. So what option would that be? Do you think? Maybe we'll go with out loud? I'm gonna save again. Jeez. Okay, let's try saying them out loud. How about reading it out loud? Junpei said the words to himself quietly. That's not out loud, Junpei. Nothing. They sounded exactly as he'd expected they would. Time for a different idea. Okay, let's try... What else could they mean? What else could gone in truth mean? Truth, of course, meant something that was correct, something that was fact. In other words, something that was right. It would follow, then, that gone meant left. After all, after someone left, they were gone. In this case, however, they clearly referred to their directional homonyms. So that means truth, right, gone, left. That seemed to make sense. Junpei looked at the bracelet again. At the two protrusions on the left and right of the face, Junpei pressed them in the following orders. Oh shoot! What was the thing again? Truth had gone, and truth had gone. So shouldn't it be right, left, right, left, right, left? Truth had gone. Right, left, and right, left. I think, don't you think? Right, left, right, left is what I think. Because I'm pretty sure it said truth had gone, and truth had gone. Anyone in agreement with me here? Right, left, right, left. And then... Whoa! Whoa! One after another, 8 numbers flashed on, then off of the face of Junpei's bracelet. He checked one more time to be sure. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. Huh? Hey, what are those numbers? Junpei didn't answer. He couldn't answer. He had no idea what they were, either. Besides, he was sure he would forget the numbers and the order they came in if he said anything. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. Oh gosh. Muttering the numbers to himself over and over, Junpei headed toward the bedroom. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. I almost messed it up. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. Before long, he found himself in front of the safe again. Its lock was the only device he could think of that required a sequence of numbers such as the ones he'd just discovered. Oh, awesome! You guys wrote it down. Thank you. Besides, someone had opened... Just in case we need it, right? Besides, someone had opened the safe at least once already. Had Clover come to the bedroom to open it? 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. Junpei slowly dialed in the numbers the bracelet had given him. Ah, okay. Thanks for typing it anyway, though. You never know. 1 to the right, 4 to the left, 3 to the right, 8 to the left, 3 to the right, 4 to the left, 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Finished. Junpei heard the small, telltale sound of a lock opening. He grabbed the handle, took a deep breath, and pulled it up. What do you think we're going to find? Oh. Inside was a piece of paper. Written on the paper just says, "You noob," with a drawing of dick butt. I'll leave it. I'm going to be right back really quick. I'm just laughing at the imagery now. I can't. I got to put up my, hang on. My quote, new be right back sign while I be right back. Which I shall, I gotta get rid of some of this stuff. Hold on, Snowy. I should set this up. Sorry, this is kind of random, that I'm doing this right now. Hold on, Snowy. Hold on. Hold on, buddy. Just hold on, man. Just hold on. I'll open the door in a second. Hold on. Try to make this smaller-ish. Is that good? That's good. Okay, I'll be right back. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. I'm back. Let's continue. Stars in the eyes. Ah, yes, I'm doing the last two endings, yes. Trollololo, there's nothing in here. Sorry, inside was a piece of paper. Let's get back to what it is. It was roughly the same size as the one Clover had been holding. Junpei picked it up. Thank you. Snowy's with me now. He followed me in here. He's been waiting outside for a long time, so I'm sorry, Snowy. Junpei picked it up. This is what it said. Thank you. Fact number 1. The nonary game was played once before 9 years ago. Fact number 2. The person with the number 2 bracelet attended the game 9 years ago. Fact number 3. It was planned by the following 4 people. Cradle Pharmaceutical CEO, Gentaro Hongo, Cradle Pharmaceutical Chief of Staff, Nagisa Nijisaki, Cradle Pharmaceutical R&D Supervisor, Teruaki Kubota, Majority Shareholder in Cradle Pharmaceutical, Kagechika Musashido. I must punish them. Aww. Thank you. Yeah, you came at a good time, I guess, right? I'm pretty much finishing up the game now. For the innocent lives they sacrificed. This is the only warning they will receive. That innocent souls might be saved, I now state the truth. 0. Junpei left the closet. There were 5 people waiting for him in the bedroom. Ace, Lotus, Santa, 7, and June. He looked at each of them in turn, then slowly placed his hands in the pockets of his vest. Sorry, but do you think you could all come with me? Come with you? I want all of you to go to the big hospital room. Why? There's something I want to be sure of. What do you want to be sure of? I want to know if the person I suspect is really the culprit. Wait, then you're saying... Yeah, I think I've got it figured out. I know who killed Snake and Clover. The atmosphere in the room changed. Grief was suddenly gone, replaced by a tension like a strap of leather stretched to its limit. 5 sets of eyes stared at Junpei. He pretended not to notice. Anyway, if you could all please move to the big hospital room. I'll explain everything as soon as we get there. Then, almost as if on cue, the bell began to ring. They all heard it. It was the bell from the clock in the main staircase. The bell rang 5 times, then ceased. It was 5 o'clock. They had only 1 hour left. We don't have a lot of time left. Let's go. Slowly, one by one, they followed Junpei out of the bedroom. Actually, before we get started, I was hoping you could do something for me. Junpei stopped in front of door 3 and turned around. Ace, 7, and Lotus, could you please place your palms on the red? Huh? Why? If we need to get to the shower room, why don't we just... No, we're not getting inside. Sorry, we're not going inside. Once you've authenticated, step away from the door. Why? Please, just do it. Or perhaps you don't want to know who killed Snake and Clover. Junpei's implication was clear, and 7 understood perfectly. Oh, sorry, it's not, it's like more like, ugh, fine. What about you, Ace? Lotus? Very well. Sure. Quickly, they pressed their palms onto the red. Once they had finished, they stepped away from the door, as Junpei had instructed. 3 asterisks, Shun! That was apparently very difficult to read for a sec. Sorry, Snowy. Shun from the red's display panel. I keep apologizing to Snowy all the time. He's okay. Junpei approached it and held his bracelet over the scanner. He made quite sure he didn't place his palm on it and instead only brought his bracelet near it. The 4th asterisk appeared. Just as Junpei had expected. It was possible to authenticate without placing one's palm on the red, so long as the bracelet was brought near it. Junpei pulled the lever down.
Hey, Cass.
Door 3 opened like a hungry mouth. 9 like a hungry mouth. 9 long seconds passed. Always talking about food and hunger in this game. These poor developers were very hungry, and the door shut, unfed. Junpei walked slowly back to the others, who were waiting some distance from the door, talking to one another. Santa and June had joined them as well. It looked as though they hadn't found a chance to break into the conversation yet. As Junpei approached, they turned to look at him, curiosity plain on their faces. Before long, the other 3 did as well. Clearly, they were all expecting some answers. Thanks. I appreciate your cooperation. Clearly, they'd hoped for something more forthcoming. He continued. By the way, Ace, would you mind if I asked you something? What is it? Do you know who I am? What? What kind of question? Just answer it, please. Who am I? You're Junpei. Of course. Who else would you be? Unfortunately, that's the wrong answer. Actually, I'm Santa. What? Ace's voice was full of surprise, but it was also tinged with confusion and fear. Everyone else looked nearly as surprised. Santa looked especially shocked to discover he was actually someone else. Santa. What am I going to play after this? Do you mean like stream-wise, or do you mean on a whole, like what game am I going to play after this? I'm still undecided if you mean game and not stream-wise. Because stream-wise I obviously have a set of games that I'm playing. But, somebody asked if I could continue the Ace Attorney series, so maybe I'll start playing, Justice for All. If not, I'm not really sure yet. If he spoke, however, the trap would be exposed. Junpei quickly continued. The clothes I'm wearing, I borrowed from Junpei, and the clothes he's wearing are mine. We had a little swap. That's ridiculous! Impossible! So you're saying I'm not Santa? Of course you aren't! Why? What makes you so sure I'm not Santa? If you were Santa, then door 3 wouldn't have opened for us just now. 1 plus 7 plus 8 plus 3 equals 19. 1 plus 9 would be 10. The digital root would be 1. But the 4 of us just opened door 3. You can't possibly be Santa. Your bracelet number isn't 3. It's 5, right? Only then, when it was too late, did Ace realize his mistake. He set his jaw and glared at Junpei. You're exactly right. My bracelet number is 5. As he spoke, Junpei lifted his wrist up to show everyone the bright red 5 on his wrist. Sorry, Ace. I tricked you. Of course I'm not really Santa. I'm Junpei. Who could possibly think I was? It's obvious I'm not. To think I was. Ridiculous. But I guess you couldn't see just how obvious it was. I asked you before, didn't I? What makes you so sure I'm not Santa? And you answered, if you were Santa, then door 3 wouldn't have opened for us just now. Most people wouldn't say something like that. As their justification for why I'm not Santa, I mean. The first thing that would come to anyone else's mind would be the bracelet number. There'd only be one thing they'd say. One sentence. You don't have his face. Ace, you have prosopagnosia. Am I right? Junpei's voice was quiet and calm. He knew the truth. So did Ace. He could hear a sudden buzz of conversation from the others. Prosopagnosia? What's that? He heard Lotus begin to explain it to them. Ace glanced at them, then turned back toward Junpei and sighed. Very well. I confess. I have prosopagnosia. I cannot differentiate human faces. Is that what this was about? You want to mock me for my disorder? No, not at all. I'm not making fun of you at all. In fact, I feel kind of bad for you. No, the reason I brought this up is that there's an excellent chance the person who killed Snake has prosopagnosia. Ace's face tightened, his eyes narrowed. What do you mean? Junpei leaned casually against the iron piping of one of the beds. I'll just come right out with it. I think it was you, Ace. You killed him. Junpei was suddenly very aware of 5 pairs of eyes on him. He had their undivided attention now. The room had grown very, very quiet. Junpei took a deep breath. That's ridiculous. What possible evidence do you... I have 3 pieces of evidence. The first, think back to a few hours ago. You made us argue over the 3 doors here in the big hospital room. There was no way all 7 people could go through them. Lotus suggested that we sacrifice one of us. Lotus looked away awkwardly. Junpei glanced at her and continued. Then you, Ace, said, I'll stay here. Why would you say something like that? It's pretty simple, really. You didn't want us to see the dead body in the shower room. You see, if Ace stayed behind, there were only 2 doors the rest of us could go through. Doors 7 and 8. There was no way we could get through door 3, the shower room. You knew that, didn't you, Ace? That's why you volunteered to stay behind. Come on now, I think that's going a bit far. I can understand if you're jealous of my bravery, but... Please, don't devalue my actions. I only wanted to save the rest of you. Surely you can understand my altruism. Altruism, huh? Junpei stared off into the darkness at something very interesting and lazily began to dig a persistent bit of wax out of his ear. You already knew, didn't you? You knew that whichever door we took, eventually we'd end up back in the big hospital room. What on earth are you saying? Of course I didn't know that. How could I have? Really? Yes! Pleading was not something they'd heard from Ace before. Junpei pulled the piece of wax from his ear, glanced at it, and flicked it off into the darkness. That's really gross, Junpei, thanks. Oh well, that's cool. I've still got 2 more pieces of evidence that say you're the killer. The second is that, as I said earlier, you have prosopagnosia. Then you mean to imply that a person who can't distinguish human faces must be a bad person? Junpei, they call that prejudice. No, I'm not that stupid. Then why? Well, before I explain, I suppose there's something I should tell you. The corpse in the shower room, it's not Snake's. What? Ace's face went pale. The others looked confused as well. If the body wasn't Snake's... I didn't put it together right away, but there was something Clover told me. She said that Snake's left arm was prosthetic. He'd lost his real arm in an accident. But the body we saw in the shower room, let's call him Guy X. Guy X's left arm was definitely fresh.
Fresh pasta!
Guy X's left arm was definitely flesh and blood. There's no time to be fob. In other words, Guy X couldn't possibly have been Snake. Oh god. No! That's impossible! Don't bring it up! I'm gonna keep giggling! Mom spaghetti. No time to be fresh. Gotta get back into serious interrogation mode. Ace's face went pale. The others looked confused as well. If the body wasn't Snake's... Oh, I read that already, sorry. Ace had started muttering deliriously to himself, shaking his head back and forth. Junpei was long past caring. Let's say, hypothetically, that the killer didn't have prosopagnosia. You and that Japanese thing. Oh gosh, Japanese. If that were the case, he would immediately realize that Guy X wasn't Snake. Even if the clothes were the same as Snake's, their faces would be completely different. It would have been obvious that they were different people, and yet they still killed him. Why? Why would they kill a stranger who'd only just shown up? On the other hand, if the killer did have prosopagnosia, it makes sense. They thought Guy X was Snake and killed him. Wait just a moment. Let's say you're right and I mistook Guy X for Snake. Even if I did, I would have no motive to kill him. Why would I want to kill Snake? I could think of at least two motives. One, Snake knew about your past. If he ever revealed what he knew, that would have been really bad for you. You really didn't want that to happen. So, to make sure Snake's mouth stayed shut, you killed him.
Hey, Sky.
2. Snake had a grudge against you. You knew that, or at least you could have easily assumed he did. Even without exposing your identity, he was a threat to you. You never knew when you might be attacked. You couldn't ever let your guard down. Every moment was a moment he might try something. You didn't want that kind of danger hanging over you, so you... Hey, hold on a minute. For the first time since the beginning of Junpei's explanation, someone besides Ace spoke. What's that past that Ace wouldn't want us to know? Why did Snake have a grudge against him? Look at this. He handed Santa a small piece of paper. Santa squinted at the paper and began to read. The nonary game was played once before, 9 years ago. The person with the number 2 bracelet attended the game 9 years ago. It was planned by the following 4 people. Cradle Pharmaceutical CEO... I read that already. What? What is this? Slowly, Santa looked up from the paper. His eyes met Junpei's. It's the message from Zero. It was in the safe in the first-class cabin. Then suddenly... Give me a break! Ace's face was red and shaking, and his voice was full of fury tinged with desperation. That paper's a lie! Someone's trying to frame me! Me? You said me, right? Junpei's eyes narrowed, and the trap began to close. Ace inhaled sharply. His eyes flicked off of Junpei to something, anything else. Wouldn't that mean that you're admitting you're Hongo, the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceutical? Or am I mistaken? It was as though a switch had been flipped. The color drained from Ace's face, and as he realized what he'd done, his eyes went wide. Very well, I admit that much. I am certainly the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceutical, Gentaro Hongo. So what if I am? I don't know anything about this nonary game that supposedly took place 9 years ago. Everything on that scrap of paper's bullshit. Someone's trying to set me up, you see. First of all, Ace stammered as he tried desperately to work himself to a more tenable position. Junpei, you're claiming I did all this by myself. Think that over, alright? How could I have killed Snake all by myself?